All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. Let's make sure we got everything up and running. Then we'll kind of go through a few things that we're seeing out there. And gosh, it's hard to say, but we keep pressing lower. At some point, that is going to change, and that's what we're looking for. So if you guys like the way I'm look at the markets, the Moxie indicator, anything else like that, remember you can come over here to simplertrading.com/Moxie. And then for, let's see, want to make sure that everybody also knows that we got a lot of stuff coming up in late October. We've got the money show. So I'm going to be speaking there Monday. We also have a board questionnaire thing on Tuesday. And if you guys are going to actually go to the money show, we have coupons here. You can get a standard pass. Looks like a pretty good discount there. And then if we have the preferred pass, $100 discount there. And so yeah, if you have any questions, just reach out to Simpler Trading and they'll give you the links. You can also copy them up here, but I doubt you'll want to type all of that in. So yeah, just reach out. We can also put it in the comments section. And then for anybody else who actually wants to come to the Simpler Trading Summit, we're going to be doing that kind of piggybacking off of the money show. We're going to be doing it just before. So we're going to have a lot of fun stuff. We're going to have a poker tournament. We're going to have a VIP cocktail hour, all that kind of stuff. And I'll be there. So it's going to be a big money talking market weekend in Orlando. So I really hope to see you guys there. Get your tickets and come join, be part of the party. All right. So from there, let's kind of dive into a few things. There are some names up today. So Tesla was actually holding out pretty well yesterday. So the market was still, again, really heavy yesterday. Even the internals were heavy, and it just was making it look like, it's going to probably pull some things down. Tesla was looking a little bit rough, and then finally popped up today. So I might have to reconsider that. But with this market, I'm still willing to give things just a little bit of time because we've seen them all over the place. And in fact, one thing that I did talk about, been posting this on the social medias and whatnot, were the cryptos. So if you look at GBTC, we had a bit of a pop-up, was it yesterday? Let me see if I get my days right. 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, so Monday, and then it pulled back from there. And overall, if you look at GBTC as a representation of Bitcoin, of crypto, it really has done a pretty good job just kind of hanging out here. Despite what the market has done, it's really going sideways. So big picture doesn't look too bad. Now, the miners, on the other hand, really have gotten torn up. They definitely got pulled apart and all that kind of stuff. And over the weekend, to the Moxie members, I did make a post or actually a video, and I said, I would be looking for these cryptos to maybe start catching some strength because if you look at GBTC and the coins themselves, they're actually holding up. And then sure enough, we open up on Monday, we get a big pop. Now, even though I put those out on social media and stuff, and that was a pretty good call, that's not where you go chase it. And these are some details. Brighter side, I see you're out there. I bet you know these things that I'm going to be talking about. But for the Moxie subscribers, we didn't chase on something like this. In fact, if you really wanted to, there was an opportunity to short. And this is part of the process that it has to go through in order to move up if it's going to move up. So there's a combination of moves in through here that I look at, and that is the thing that kept us from chasing right there. That is not a great place to go long. This would have basically had to have been a thing you got in on Friday, have it go up, and then you get out because of the first move, second move kind of stuff that I talk about and teach inside of the Moxie room. So yeah, just kind of looking for that, waiting to see if there's going to be some sort of bid that really gets these things actually going. But other than that, still kind of holding out. The market itself is still meh. And if we look at the internals, I mean, the internals are just wildly negative. So pretty crazy how far down these things have been going. Let me get this real quick. Let's see if we can refresh that. And yeah, if you look at this, the number of stocks over their 20-day SMA, 7%. Number of stocks over their 50-day SMA, 50%. So really, really, really low. At some point, you would imagine that the pendulum is going to swing back the other way. The worst case scenario, I keep hearing a lot of people talk about 1987. So sure, things could keep getting worse. I mean, yeah, they could fall off a cliff, no problem. If nobody wants to buy, hey, these things will keep going down. The other thing is, what if it just kind of goes blah? What if there's just like, meh, just lackadaisical? What if there are no buyers, but and people aren't exactly willing to sell? And what if we just kind of get a market that just kind of churns? We could definitely get a sideways market. So these are some things to look at. It says sure, pendulum could swing, and I'm looking that way. But we need to actually see some follow through. We need to see some engagement, and we need to see something. So let's take a look at the internals. Yeah, not much. Look at this. The internals have been pretty negative the last few days, right and through there. And even today, look at this, another kind of mixed day. Now, if this is a transition day, let's say we've kind of hit the bottom of the market and things want to move up from here, what we should see is, this could be reasonable, mixed day, because, things going sideways, getting ready to change direction. So tomorrow or the next day, if the market is going to be going up and be strong again, we should see these all in unison to the upside. And we should see strength coming up here, and we should see numbers up here on the internals. So we'll have to see. Today looks like either just a blah day or a resting day or something like that. Remember that the market goes from balance to excess and excess to balance. And so we need to see where this is going to go. All right. So other than that, yeah, brighter side, let's take a look. IWM, I'm not sure if this is bottoming yet. Still hard to even say that. I wouldn't quite venture to say that it's bottoming yet. It is still underneath the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicator is still below 0 on the 15-minute time frame. We even have the 8 below the 21. So yeah, really not too much to say in through here. It's just been going down. You can see it continues to get rejected by the hourly 50, continues to get rejected by the hourly 50. And yeah, none of those, even though they were bounces, they did not hold. They did not hold the 50. They did not hold the 50. And notice that the Moxie indicator was below 0 each time. So this really was confirmation to the downside for those moves, and not to be panicked out for the bounce. So yeah, really nothing to do there. Yes, it's getting extreme. I keep looking at that, but things have been staying extreme for a few weeks at this point. So yeah, hard to really say that I want to be jumping in on this on the long side. Oh, weekly, huh? Let's see. Bottom. Well, I don't know. I still maybe. What are you looking at this? The 169, the 169, which is the 50% retracement. I see. Yeah. Okay. Talking about that. Possibly. Possibly. It's done it before, but things can change. So we're just going to have to wait for evidence. So if that is something that we're looking at, you're just going to have to, yeah, I see it, trend line. We're just going to have to wait and see. Kind of bring it up here. It's about there. Let's kind of make that trend line, right? Something around there. And we'll have to see. Now, just keep in mind the market can also be tricky. It can do an undercut and rally. So a lot of people look at this as if it's going to break a new low, okay, you go with it. But also a lot of times it can break that new low, sucker in some bears, and then go the other way. And that's basically your undercut and rally. So we do need to be sensitive to these things. I keep watching the internals. They'll help kind of guide you on that. But yeah, pretty rough. Pretty rough. Just can't quite get any traction. No traction. And in fact, I think the Dow was kind of doing the same thing. Yeah, thanks, Brighter said. The Dow, very weak also. Just a whole lot of sideways. And notice the other thing that's kind of concerning that I'm not thrilled about is both the IWM and the Dow are back below their monthly 10. For me, that was a bit of a line in the sand. That was a line in the sand. And if you look at the NASDAQ, we're still okay. We're still pulling back into the monthly 10. It's really not until we break the monthly 10 that I'm going to be seriously concerned about these things. So I don't know if the Dow and the IWM can really, repair themselves. And if they can't, then I would imagine that the SPY and the Nasdaq will not be able to either. So we're really kind of getting into some of these danger zones and categories here on the SPY and the Nasdaq. So we'll have to see. If you guys remember when all of this started back in 2021, it was the IWM that really gave up the ghost first. And so the fact that the IWM continues to be weak is a problem. And you can see that right around here. IWM started to impinge upon its monthly 10 first back in 2021. And so once it started to go, that was kind of the canary in the coal mine. And we could also see the same thing with the breadth. So yeah, the fact that this is down here and looking pretty rough, not fantastic. All right, so UPST, if we're looking at that, yeah, still kind of pulling back. Let's take a look down here in the lower time frames. Yeah, that just hasn't been able to catch anything. Had a bit of a bump, but if you look at this brighter side, you can see what it did. That bump ran right into the underside of the daily 21 Also did a 50, 250 maneuver right there and could not hold the 15-minute 50. So just a bit of a bump, and that bump seems like it was off of the daily 21, which reminds me, let's take this and look at AMD. AMD is having a nice bounce today too. And you know what? In one sense, this is how a new swing long would set up and start. So far it has all the fixings. You can see, yes, it did bounce off of its daily 21. And then what you could also see is we have a bit of an elf shoe starting to form in through here. Now this will keep going until it changes. So it'll look like it looks nice. It'll start recovering, but we need to just make sure that there's continuation follow through to the upside. If for some reason, because you can see here, price pulled back the other day and then started to move back up. If this continues to hold this moving average and move up over time, great, absolutely fantastic. But if you see that it kind of comes up and then rolls over again, well, that means it's probably not going to work, and it ran some more resistance, and you just have to get out if you're on the long side. It's kind of the same thing here. If it cannot hold those moving averages to the upside, you're just going to have to get out. So we're looking at these things. I'm seeing some green shoots, but at this market, we really need to basically verify. You can trust it, but we have to verify it. All right, then coin. Yeah, not much there either. I spoke about Riot, Hut, Mara, all those names, kind of the same thing. Coin, not looking terrible, but also just not looking great. GBTC, I think even Ethereum, all going sideways. Yeah, they're mostly going sideways, but they just can't quite catch a bid. So even though I'm seeing potential, there's just nothing quite there yet. You can see we still have the daily 8 below the 21, and we still have the hourly 50 below the hourly 200. The Moxie indicator still below 0. Now you could argue double bottom, sure. Positive divergence, sure, but it hasn't turned yet. As of the last 2 days, it's still pulling back. So I'm not a fan of trying to catch a falling knife, which means that as price continues to pull back, I'm not just going to keep guessing and buying and guessing and hoping that it's going to turn back up. I like to actually wait for it to actually turn back up, at least on the 15-minute time frame, and that's still not happening yet. And coin off of the daily 200. No, it's still a little bit too far. Here's the daily 200. So not quite there yet. Not quite there. And then FSR, the electric vehicle space has been, dare I say, interesting. Rivian kind of went down and then back up. Tesla's doing okay. And then, Luz is not doing anything. XPEV, I think, is mostly sideways, and then NEO was down and then bounced. So FSR, I see what's going on. It seems to be holding pretty well, but it's just not really going anywhere. You can see it rejected, 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 rejected. So unless you're playing these ranges, because you can see it's had a couple runs, run up, run up, run up, run up, but they all give it back. So it's still very much in a sideways move. So not terrible, but not great. I think that's a lot of what we're seeing out there. And let me look at XPEV. Yep, see, mostly sideways. Now, what'll be interesting is if XPEV is going to work, right there is where it should work. And I think that'll be the litmus test. If it can hold this and continue to move up, it'll work. Otherwise, if it moves up or sideways or down, it's not going to work. So this is the juncture right there that it needs to hold for all these reasons right there. That needs to hold if it's going to work. And I'm just not sure if I have faith in it. Because if we look at FXI, the Chinese ETF, continues to fall off a cliff. So not much happened there. But yeah, Brighter said good eye on FSR, potential buy off the hourly 50. So you've got it. You've got the eye at least. So you're seeing things, and if you think that's going to work, give it a shot. And if it doesn't, just get out. Just let it prove itself. That kind of thing. Yeah, then I've been looking at the VIX as well. It's definitely been moving up. And the question is, with the VIX up, with the put call ratio up, the breadth way, way, way down, we are at an area where we could see a turn. But that turn has not happened yet. It hasn't arrived, it hasn't happened yet. And so while I say we have all this kindling for a short squeeze and for the market to move up, nothing has happened yet. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing in through here. Now, Can this get worse? I mean, sure, of course, anything can get worse. But it is interesting to note that the internals say that we're pretty much already pegged to the downside. Like it can't get that much worse unless we really do start just falling off a cliff and can't do anything. So in a normal segment of the market, the internals, the breadth, the VIX being up, the put call ratio being up, all these things say that we should start going the other direction. But if there are no buyers coming in, and really if there's no appetite, then hey, these things are going to continue to go that direction, and they can stay, irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So don't try to force anything just because of things that you're seeing. Like I'm looking at them, and I haven't seen anything really convincingly turn yet. So we've been staying pretty light, pretty nimble on this, which is fine. The market is what it is, and it's given us this kind of stuff. All right, and then let's see. So Apple, we can also look at that one. The weekly 50 looks like it might break. I'm thinking this market breaks down severely just off this chart. Yeah, a lot of people actually been mentioning this. I had a buddy in town last weekend, and he was kind of talking the same thing. He's looking at volume profile, and he said, if I recall, he said there was like a lot of volume profile down here and a lot of volume profile down here, but like nothing in between. And we're sitting right on this shelf. So yes, uh, that seems reasonable. We are coming into the monthly 10, but as I said, if the monthly 10 cannot hold, that's going to be my line in the sand. If price keeps going down, then it's going to keep going down. And if we look here on the daily and hourly, I do see a form of positive divergence right there on the hourly. But again, nothing is quite caught. Nothing's quite catching. If we're going to see something, basically right here, we need to see price get up over the hourly 50 and continue to work its way north if this is going to work. If it's not, then we see maybe a little bit of a bounce and then just another rollover. And then it'll continue to persist to the downside. So it's kind of interesting. I was seeing all these potentials, and you could even maybe, if this goes up, you could definitely call that an undercut and rally. But we need to see it actually rally. So far, it's not rallying, and that's a concern. But man, we are so close, like right there, firing with that positive divergence. Um, but unfortunately, with this market, you can even look at these things and say, hey, it did move up, but it gave it right back. I'm trying to think. Palantir was kind of a situation. You can see right in here, we did get a move to the upside and pulled right back. Now we need to see if that pullback actually holds. If this pullback can hold in strength and move up, great. Then we're going to be moving up. But this could also just be a bounce in a downtrend, or a bounce in a sideways thing that ends up being a downtrend. I think Airbnb was another one that I was kind of talking about. You can see here, right where it needed hold, it did not hold. So right there, I was looking for it to hold, and it didn't. So we continue to just to watch kind of stuff like this and see where it's going to go. Path, yeah, let's wrap up with that one. Yeah, we traded this a few times before, but that again doesn't do anything. Has a couple runs, gives it up. Has a run, gives it up. Has a run, gives it up. So same kind of thing. There's a whole lot of just sideways. So either you change up your game to where you trade directionally for 1 to 3 or 4 days, or you find a range and then you can trade that range. But it's getting pretty tight. Getting pretty narrow. Not much going on here, and definitely not in a trend. It's really just going sideways. And if we start getting breakouts, good. We'll see that with the whole market. If we go from breadth being 7% of stocks over their 50-day SMA, if we start to move up in an earnest way, we will see that thing start to move up too. We need to see broad-based market support if we're going to actually have a continued move to the upside. Otherwise, we just continue to limp along here, and these names are going to go sideways, and there's just not going to be that much action going on. So change up your trading style, do some day trading until we can actually determine that things are catching a bid longer term. Or hey, just sit on your hands and enjoy some time off from the market, and just kind of keep an eye out and see if things start to get better. But if you're a long only, hasn't been the market for the last 2 months. All right, guys. So remember, we're going to be at Orlando for a bunch of money show and simpler summit type stuff. So I want to make sure everybody knows about this. It's going to be a fun time. As I said, we're going to have a poker tournament and a VIP cocktail hour and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be a good time and a day full of classes and lessons and great time. So we'll see you out there. Looking forward to it, guys. Later.